Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really tackling a fascinating situation. It's that high stakes move, going from something like strategic consulting or maybe law, these really structured, high prestige jobs,
Right.
and deliberately pivoting into something completely different, like a high volume customer service role, maybe a global call center.
Yeah, and it's a move that, well, let's be honest, it can look pretty confusing on paper to a hiring manager.
Definitely.
So our goal today is basically to give you the playbook, not just, lines to memorize, but the whole strategic thinking behind it.
Okay.
How do you turn what looks like a weakness, maybe even a step down, into a real undeniable strength? We've looked at the sources on this.
And there's a core idea, right? A
Yeah.
kind of foundational principle you need before you even walk into that interview room.
Exactly, there is. And you absolutely have to internalize this first. You're not a job seeker running away from something bad. You are a strategic consultant. You happen to have this strong legal or analytical background. And right now, you are carefully choosing your next operational laboratory.
Oh, I like that. Laboratory. It completely flips the script, doesn't it?
It does. Instantly changes the power dynamic.
So the interview isn't some test you're desperately trying to pass.
Yeah.
It's more like a mutual evaluation. You're figuring out if their operation is actually sophisticated enough for your specific skills.
Precisely. And that mindset shift, that's what lets you get past all the skepticism. It lets you jump straight into talking about the high-impact stuff you can bring.
Okay, let's dive right into the absolute core issue then. The one question that's almost guaranteed to come up. Our sources call it the trap question, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
The manager looks at that resume, lawyer, consultant, and then the job spec customer service lead, maybe, and asks.
So, why? Why are you leaving a prestigious, probably well-paid legal career for this?
And boom.
Yeah.
That's the moment. Honestly, if you fumble this one, it almost doesn't matter what else you say.
Right. Game over.
Pretty much. So you have to know the answers not to give. The sources point to three main failure types they basically expect.
Okay, what are they?
First, the emotional dump. Don't say you hated law, hated the stress, were totally burned out.
Why not? Seems honest.
Because it signals you might just quit this job when things get tough, too. Makes you seem like a flight risk, emotionally driven.
Okay. Makes sense. What's the second bad answer?
Second is making it all about money. If you start talking about salary right away, or imply that's the main driver.
They figure you'll just leave for the next place that offers a tiny bit more.
Exactly. No loyalty.
Yeah.
And the third one, maybe the worst. Just weak, vague stuff like, oh, I just needed a change or wanted a different pace.
Yeah, that sounds wishy-washy. No real intention there.
Zero professional intent. So what you need is what we're calling the finisher response. It completely reframes why you're doing this. It's about a higher purpose, almost.
Okay, intrigued. What's the core idea? What's the realization you need to communicate?
You have to show real intellectual clarity.
Yeah.
Ambition, even. You explain that, look, over the years, you realized something important about yourself.
Which is?
That your real passion wasn't actually buried in complex legal documents or the fine print of due diligence. It was in the psychology of conflict.
Yeah.
And resolving it fast.
Wow. Okay, that's powerful. It's not about the job title. It's about the core skill. You're shifting from document analyst to, I don't know, emergency conflict negotiator.
That's a great way to put it. And now you link it. You explain the skill transfer. You say, look, high-level legal work often involves these long, drawn-out conflicts, months, sometimes years.
Right.
But what really excites you, what challenges you, is applying those same skills, negotiation, de-escalation, analysis, but doing it immediately, under pressure.
So you're actually saying that calming down an angry customer in like 10 minutes,
Okay.
that takes more strategic skill than writing a legal brief for 10 hours.
Yes. In terms of immediate, decisive action, absolutely. The speed, the pressure, the need for rapid, effective communication in that live customer service moment. That's the ultimate test of those conflict skills.
Okay.
So you state clearly, you're deliberately focusing on what you see as the most vital skill in business today, that direct, high-pressure communication and problem solving.
And choosing this company, this type of role, wasn't an accident. It wasn't a retreat.
No, it was a strategic focus. You chose this kind of environment, maybe global customer service, because it's the critical front line. It's where complex operational problems meet real people right now. You're seeking that intensity, that real-time impact.
And the effect on the hiring manager.
They stop seeing someone running away from law. They start seeing an expert who is strategically picking their next challenge, their new battleground.
Okay, that foundation feels really solid. Let's build on it. How do we handle those classic opening questions? First up, tell me about yourself.
Right. And the goal here is not the boring chronological history. My name is X, I graduated in Y.
No. So what do we do instead? Needs to be strategic,
It
right?
needs to be a thesis statement for why you're there. Grab their attention immediately. Start with something like, I specialize in solving complex problems. Rapidly.
Okay, punchy. Defines the value straight away.
Exactly. Then you connect your past the legal stuff directly to their needs right now in this role.
Walk me through that connection. How do you phrase it?
You explain that your old job, being a lawyer or consultant, was basically the ultimate training in chaos management.
Chaos management.
Yeah. Think about it. You were paid to take messy, unclear situations, disputes, policy issues, confusing contracts, and what did you do? You analyzed them quickly, found the root cause, and then drafted a clear, persuasive, actionable solution.
So you're basically reframing lawyer as expert systematic problem solver.
You got it. And then you highlight the absolute killer transferable skill for a call center environment. You are trained to stay calm, logical, and follow procedure, even when everyone around you is emotional. Clients, opposing lawyers, angry customers, doesn't matter. Your entire background was about emotional regulation under extreme pressure.
That really does reposition the legal background effectively. Okay, next classic. What are your greatest strengths? We know the generic answers hard worker, team player are out.
Totally out. Weak. You need your professional toolkit. Specific things derived from that legal discipline.
Like a surgeon listing their instruments.
Exactly. The surgeon's answer. You offer 3 specific competencies. First, strategic de-escalation.
Okay.
You explain. Your training taught you how to absorb that initial blast of anger from a customer, and critically, how to instantly separate the emotion from the actual unmet need that's buried underneath all the shouting. You filter the noise, find the objective problem.
Makes sense. What's number 2? You mentioned systematic improvements earlier.
Number 2 builds on that. Root cause analysis. See, typical customer service often just fixes the one transaction, right? Closes the ticket.
Yeah, solve and move on.
But as a lawyer, you were trained in due diligence, always asking why. Why did this error happen? How do we prevent it next time? So you're not just solving the case, you're looking for flaws in the system. You bring a focus on improving the whole process.
That's a huge differentiator. Okay, but let me push back a bit here. Strength number 3. You mentioned being process-oriented. If you're so process-driven from law, couldn't that make you sound, I don't know, rigid, inflexible on a call?
That's a fantastic question, and a smart interviewer will think that.
Uh-huh.
So yes, the third strength is being process-oriented, but you frame it around risk mitigation.
Pass so.
In law, cutting corners on procedure, deviating from compliance, that can cost millions, lose cases. So you bring an intense discipline for adhering to the company's established policies and procedures, the SOPs.
Ah, so it's about quality control.
Precisely. It guarantees consistent, high-quality, auditable service, which is exactly what big corporate clients demand from their service centers. It's not inflexibility, it's disciplined quality assurance.
All right, let's navigate the minefield. What is your greatest weakness? We know the cliches, I'm a perfectionist, I care too much, are terrible. They just sound fake.
Completely fake. Signals you haven't really thought about it. The strategic weakness has to be believable. It should ideally be a direct, understandable consequence of your demanding former career.
Okay.
So the best answer here, the self-awareness answer, is usually something like, coming from my legal background, I sometimes tend to overanalyze situations, or I can spend too much time searching for the absolute perfect solution.
Hold on, though. If you admit you overanalyze and might be slow, isn't that a deal breaker for a fast-paced call center job where speed is often key? Seems like a reason not to hire you.
But that's the brilliant tension you create. That's the leverage. By naming a flaw that stems from a high-status, high-precision field like law, you're actually demonstrating high-level self-awareness and, crucially, self-management. Because you don't just leave it there. You immediately pivot to show how you've already solved this issue for yourself.
Okay, how do you explain that solution?
You introduce the system you developed. You say, I recognized early on that in a high-volume business setting, a good solution now is far better than waiting for a perfect solution later.
Right. Practicality beats perfectionism.
Exactly. So, you continue, I consciously developed a personal system to counteract this. I give myself a fixed time frame for analysis, say 90 seconds on a call, and then I commit to making the best call based on, 80% of the available information.
That's really smart. You're showing the journey from lawyerly precision to effective business action. It's like you've already consulted yourself on how to adapt.
Yes, you identified the potential friction and engineered a solution. Okay, now let's shift gears to the real pressure test. Handling that really angry client, maybe even abusive language. This is where they see if you can actually walk the walk.
Right, the core skill test. So the scenario, clients yelling, maybe swearing, demanding something you can't immediately fix. What's the negotiator's answer? What's the method?
It's a clear two-step protocol, and it's based more on cognitive science than just, being nice. Step one, the protocol of absorption.
Absorption.
Meaning you absolutely do not interrupt. You let the customer vent. Let them get all that emotional energy out. It's critical. Why? Because the human brain literally cannot process logic when it's flooded with fight or flight chemicals.
So you just take it, absorb the storm until it passes. What do you actually do during that?
You use empathetic silence
Mm-hmm.
and minimal non-committal verbal cues. Things like, I understand this is frustrating, or I hear what you're saying, or I appreciate you explaining this to me. You're validating the emotion, not agreeing with the content yet.
Okay. So once that initial wave of emotion starts to subside, what's step two?
Step two is reframing. Once there's a bit of calm, you take control of the narrative. You shift from just absorbing emotion to defining the problem objectively.
How does that sound?
You state it neutrally, structuring it carefully. Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, the core issue is state the objective problem clearly. Example, the incorrect charge on last month's bill, and dealing with this has made you feel, name the emotion they expressed, e.g. frustrated, ignored. Is that accurate?
Ah, I see. You repeat back the problem and the feeling. They confirm it.
Yes. And in that moment, the dynamic shifts. They've agreed with your summary. You're no longer adversaries. You're now partners working together against the problem.
And what about if the language gets abusive?
Your response needs to show utter professionalism. You make it clear. You absorb the emotion, yes, but you don't take abuse personally. And critically, you are trained to maintain control by setting firm, professional boundaries according to company policy. You handle it calmly, by the book.
Okay, we've navigated their questions, handled the tough spots. Now comes that moment at the end. Do you have any questions for us?
Right. And this is where you truly shift the power dynamic. You stop being just an applicant. You start acting like potential leadership material.
So definitely don't ask the basic stuff, like salary, hours, how quickly can I get promoted?
No, those are the fail questions at this stage. They make you look self-serving or short-sighted. Your questions need to show you're thinking bigger. About quality, about business objectives, about the team's challenges.
Okay, give me the strategic questions. What's the first one? Needs to show that business focus, right? KPI for...
Exactly. First one is objective-driven and specific. I know you handle this specific global client name account. For that particular client, what's the single most critical key performance indicator KPI that you really prioritize? Is it more about speed, like average handle time, AHT, or is it primarily customer satisfaction, the CSIP scores?
Ooh, that's sharp. And just for listeners, AHT is call length, CSE is the customer rating. Asking that shows you get that there are trade-offs in service, right?
Precisely. You understand that different clients value different things, and you want to align with their definition of success. Okay, question 2 is about growth, but framed intelligently.
How do we avoid sounding just like, when do I get promoted?
You phrase it like this. Looking at the most successful people who started in this specific role, what's the typical growth path you've observed? And I'm really asking about how their skills developed, the milestones they hit, not just about the job titles they got.
Nice. Focuses on capability development. Shows you know that titles follow competence.
Right. You're investing in becoming more valuable. And the final question. This one shows you're ready to roll up your sleeves and tackle real problems.
What is it?
If I were fortunate enough to join this team, what would you say is the single biggest operational challenge the team is currently facing that needs focused problem solving?
Wow, okay. That signals you're not scared of the hard stuff. You actually want to contribute to fixing the tough issues right away, using that analytical background.
Exactly. You're positioning yourself as part of the solution from day one.
So if we pull all this together, this whole strategic approach, what's the final picture? What's the result?
The transformation is, well, it should be undeniable. Think about it. You walked in, potentially seen as this slightly confusing lawyer or consultant, maybe looking for an easier job.
Yeah, the initial perception.
But you walk out having presented yourself as a strategic asset, a potential future operational consultant even. the companies realize they're not just filling a seat, they're getting access to really refined analytical, negotiation, and de-escalation skills.
Skills they'd normally pay a fortune for from external consultant.
Exactly. But applied right there, on their front line, you're no longer just a candidate. You're a sophisticated resource they really can't afford to pass up. Hashtag tag tag outro.
So the core message here for you listening, mastering this kind of interview, especially with an unconventional background, isn't about just listing jobs on a resume, or worse, apologizing for your path.
No.
It's about crafting a really deliberate story, a narrative that logically, persuasively connects your unique past skills, that discipline, that analysis, that grace under pressure from your old job, directly to the specific challenges and goals of this new role.
Well said. And maybe here's a final thought, something for you to chew on after this. Take one skill, something you're truly an expert in from your current or previous field. Maybe it's something that seems totally irrelevant, maybe even a negative, for the job you want next.
Okay.
Now, really commit to building that strategic consultant narrative around it. How does that specific, maybe obscure skill actually give you a superior method for handling the absolute toughest, highest pressure situations in that new job? Find that link. Go transform your story.